Hey guys, what's up? It's Autobot Mike 18 here with another TV episode review. Guys, in this video, I will be reviewing The Walking Dead Season 4, Episode 2, Infected. Guys, I just finished watching the new episode of The Walking Dead. I actually watched it an hour ago, and I just finished watching Talking Dead. I'm looking at my clock over there. And, yeah, guys, I didn't think I was going to be reviewing tonight's episode. I didn't think I was going to. I'm not sure if I'm going to review every single episode that is aired in Season 4. It's not all set in stone that I'm going to review every single one. I'm going to try to review every single episode of Season 4. I'll try to do all of them, but like I said, it's not set in stone. But I am going to review Episode 2 because I watched it an hour ago, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I can't stop thinking about it, and I want to talk to you guys about it. So, guys, tonight's episode was the second episode of Season 4 called Infected, and I really, really liked it. I mean, last week's episode was a decent start to the season, little slow in a few parts. I love the way they ended it. It set us up for tonight's badass episode. And I love where they're going with the show after tonight's episode. I mean, this is by far, we're officially in Season 4 as of tonight's episode. And all I have to say is shit is starting to get real. That's all I gotta say. Alright guys, so this is going to be a completely spoiler-filled review. I'm going to spoil the whole entire episode, so if you have not yet watched Season 4, Episode 2, Infected yet, I suggest you don't watch this video because I'm going to ruin the whole entire thing for you guys. If you have watched it, great. Watch my review. Let me know what you thought of the episode. So anyway guys, let's get right to it. I want to make this review as short as possible. The first thing I'm going to do is sum up the plot for the most of the episode. I'm going to analyze a couple of really important scenes in a few moments in the episode, especially a few moments involving Rick. And, yeah, I'll give you my thoughts on the episode towards the end of the review. So, guys, as for the summary of this episode, as we all remember in the end of last week's episode, we basically had Rick, meeting that Clara girl out in the woods, and Daryl had that team together. They went to the big spot, and then, they lost that one kid, and blah, blah, blah. The end of that episode really, really impressed me with what happened to Patrick, one of the new kids in the prison group. He just passed out and died and turned into a zombie on, the bathroom floor in the prison. And when I saw that, I was really, really intrigued, and I wanted to know what killed him, because he obviously wasn't bitten. So I said to myself, is he infected? How did he get infected? Are they all starting to just turn into zombies out of nowhere? That was the biggest question on my mind. So guys, tonight's episode opens with somebody holding a flashlight. It's outside, it's late at night, and they're tying rats to the fence, to the gates of the prison, and the zombies are walking towards the prison, and they're starting to eat the rats. And we're trying to guess who this is. I have two theories as to who it might be. I'm saying it's either the governor. Obviously, I think a lot of people are saying it's either the governor, and my other thought is actually Bob Stuckey. He's that army medic guy who was introduced last week. I don't know, something about that guy, I just don't trust him. I don't know what it is, but anyway, I have no clue what's going on there. Hopefully, it's going to be a pretty big twist, pretty exciting, with who's tying the rats to the cages. What do you guys think? Who do you guys think is doing that? But anyway, we continue on with what happened in last week's episode. We see Tyrese and Karen, they're hanging out together in a cell. They are in a solid relationship at this point. And Karen leaves Tyrese. She goes into the bathroom area where Patrick died and turned. And we hear his growls a little bit. She goes into one of her cell blocks, and Patrick stands up. He's a full walker now. He walks into one of the cell blocks, cell block D, I believe it was, and he bites. He goes into this this one jail cell, and he just rips apart this guy's guts, starts eating him, and apparently he eats him throughout the whole night, because now one of the next scenes, it's morning, and the whole prison group, they're going through their daily life. Rick and Carl are outside tending to the crap out on their farm that they got going on. Michonne starts to head off on horse. She's obviously still going around looking for the governor. Pretty sure she just wants her revenge, but she is going around looking for the governor, and that's why she's heading off on her horse every day. And we start to hear gunshots from inside the prison. And we know that obviously Patrick is the cause of this. Zombie Patrick is the cause of this. So Rick runs toward the prison to find out what's going on. This was probably the most intense scene in the episode. It was the scene in the episode that just really reminded me of how much I love The Walking Dead and how much you have no clue how much I love this show, because you have no clue what's going to happen. You have no clue who's going to die. I knew people were going to die, but I had no clue what characters were going to die, if there were going to be any major characters that died. And I love that with The Walking Dead, that feeling of not knowing who's going to die when you have zombies attacking. So in this very hectic and intense scene, Michonne returns. She just left the prison. She turns around and she hears the gunshots. She's on her horse, and she's like trapped out there with a couple of walkers. Carl and Maggie save her. That was pretty cool. Rick and Glenn and Daryl get into the prison, a couple other guys, Tyrese, Sasha, and they just see a whole bunch of people are now zombies, and they're biting others, and they're freaking out the little kids. So they clear out the prison. They're killing walkers, and I really do like that scene. And after a while, Daryl shoots zombie Patrick in the head with a crossbow. And, they are just shocked. The whole group is in complete shock. They have absolutely no clue what the hell just happened. They want to get to the bottom of this. So when it cuts back to after the commercial, I really like this. They begin to put the pieces together to figure out who the heck... how did zombies get into the cell block? Why is this happening? What's going on here? In the end, they find Patrick's body, and they realize how there's blood coming from his eyes and there's blood coming from his mouth. They examine his body. They realize he hasn't been bitten, so they know something fishy's going on here. So they begin to realize Patrick must have died from like an infection or something. He got like a virus or a flu. So they begin to speculate that a flu is going around, like a swine flu or something like that. And, that pig in the first episode, Violet, that pig died. Rick found one animal outside of the prison that died in the first episode. So, things are starting to get pretty real. This is a whole new threat to this group at the prison. They were safe for the last 6 or 7 months, but now they are seriously facing a new threat. There's this swine flu virus going around. They have absolutely no clue who could be infected. They obviously know Patrick was infected. He's now dead, but they don't know who else is infected, who's going to get infected. You could get infected from left to right, just by contact. So this is a whole other new threat, because once they get infected, they're going to die, and then they're going to turn into a walker. And then that'll lead to trouble for anyone that's in the prison, just like what happened with the attack in cell block D. So, this is starting to get really serious. So they have like a council meeting at some part in the episode. Yeah, they actually set up like a council, made up of like Herschel, Glenn, I think Maggie was part of the council, Sasha. You got a couple other more major characters part of this council they got going on. Carol. And they realize that there's some swine flu going on. So they want to kind of separate all those who they know don't have the swine flu and all those who are healthy, and they want to separate all those who they think may be infected. So we do learn that Karen is starting to cough a little bit, her and this other guy. So they separate her and put her in a different cell block. Karen, and Tyrese is obviously shocked at this. He's grown very close to Karen. He's in a relationship with her, but they want to separate the sick from the healthy, or the people who they think are sick, until they can figure out what's going on, until they can find like some kind of cure for this thing, because this is a very serious problem to the prison group. And so it's the aftermath of the attack, and in cell block D, and they're burying bodies. There were these 2 little girls that lost their father. Carol had to stab him in the head. He was bitten, and Carol's trying to make them feel better. I do like what they were doing with Carol in this episode. She's trying to get the kids to be able to want to defend themselves with knives. She's teaching them how to use weapons. She wants to keep doing that because she doesn't want them to let their guard down. And I like what Carol's doing. I liked how Carol has progressed as a character. She's become more and more important over as the seasons went on, and I like where they're going with Carol. However, I just have a funny feeling she's going to die in the next episode or something, where she's outside the prison and Rick is firing at those zombies. I have a feeling that they're going to lose her at some point in this season. I don't know why, but I like what they're going with Carol. So anyway, yeah, that's going on. And then you have this moment between Rick and Daryl. And I want to start talking a lot about Rick, because something big is going on with Rick in this episode. Some people may not realize it. I picked up on it. and Rick and Daryl are out in the prison yard, and they see this influx of walkers building up on this one side of the fences, and there's a whole bunch of walkers. The fence is literally starting to cave in. So this is another problem. They just had this threat with the swine flu thing and with the attack on Cell Block D, and now they have this whole other thing going on with this buildup of walkers. So, they are really the prison community again is slowly starting to crumble. I mean, they were safe for about 6 or 7 months, and they really didn't have too many accidents, and now things are starting to get worse. There's problems are starting to arise, and they are again starting to realize that they're in this world, this zombie world, and there really is no escaping this. Everywhere you turn, there's always going to be some kind of zombie related problem, and that just sucks when you think about it. So Rick, Daryl, Sasha, Tyrese head over to the caving in fence to try to build it up, hold it up to stop it from falling down. And this is another big challenge. And obviously one of the main reasons why there's a buildup of walkers along the fences is because someone's been feeding the walkers these rats. And Rick and the others, they're starting to stab the walkers in the head. They got those poles, those sticks. They're starting to stab them in the head. And Rick hesitates, he doesn't want to do this, and he doesn't want to stab any one of them in the head. And I like what they're doing with Rick's character. Rick has definitely changed from the end of season 3 till now. The end of season 3, for the majority of season 3, I should say, he went crazy. He went through a really bad time after Lori died, and he realized what he did was wrong, and that he had to stop that. He had to save himself and get his act together for the sake of Carl and for the sake of his daughter Judith and for the sake of the rest of the group. So Rick got his shit together, and between the gap between season 3 and season 4, Rick started growing into the farming life. He stopped killing walkers. He stopped trying to deal with using weapons and all that. He grew more into the farming life because he's trying to get rid of that past life he had where he absolutely lost it and went nuts after Lori died. He started seeing visions of Lori. He was at a really, really hard place and a really difficult place in his life at that point. And Rick he doesn't want to get back out there. He doesn't want to start killing all these walkers again. And that's why he started hesitating at trying to, stab them in the head when they were building up on the fences. So I like what they're doing with Rick's character, actually. And I love what they did with him in the end of this episode, which I'll get to, obviously. So, Rick, there's that thing that's going on with Rick. Then there's another really touching scene with Michonne, Judith, and Beth that I really, really liked. Michonne has to hold Judith for a moment, and Judith's, she's crying, and Michonne's holding her, and Michonne starts to cry. So I'm curious to see what's going on with Michonne, and there's obviously some big thing going on with her past life, which is why Judith which was why Michonne started crying when she was holding Judith. So I'm assuming that either there was a baby in her life. I don't think she had a kid herself. Maybe her boyfriend had a kid and she was living with him. I don't know, but something is up with Michonne holding a baby, and I'm curious to see what's going on with there. So anyway, heading back to Rick and the others trying to stop the zombies from falling, caving in the fence and getting into the prison. There's this one zombie, and I love the special effects in this episode. It was really, really good. This one zombie, literally, its face, it cuts its face through the fence, and you see its face, getting torn in half as it's trying to get through the fence. That was so awesome. So Rick realizes, screw this, I'm not letting him get into this prison. So he goes out with Daryl on this truck, and he literally takes, the last 3 pigs he had, brings them out into the fields, lets them go, and lets the walkers eat them. So he steers the walkers away from the fence, and I thought this was actually really, really genius on his part. And he gets the walkers away from the fence, and they begin to eat the pigs. And I like this scene. I love the score in this episode. I love that the score that was played during this scene. Excuse me, guys. It was really touching, and you could tell Rick didn't want to do that, but he did that for 2 reasons. 1, he had to get them away from he had to get the walkers away from the fences, and 2, he has to, you got the swine flu problem going on, so you got to get rid of these pigs anyway. You don't want more people getting infected, so I like what they did with that, actually. It was a really touching moment. You could tell Rick didn't want to do that. Rick has really grown into that farmer lifestyle, at the prison, and again, he does something else that I'm about to mention. That you could tell he didn't want to do, but he has to because of the recent circumstances. So anyway, guys, moving on. In the very last, 10 minutes of the episode, again, there's that thing with Carol and the kids, and how she wants to get them to defend themselves, and Carl tells Rick that Carol was holding knife lessons, and Rick's like, okay, or whatever, like, he okays it. He's like, alright, that's fine, I'm glad you told me. But Rick does something I like what they made him do, the writers. He burns up the stable where the pigs were, and he burns it up. He also takes off his shirt and burns it up, and Carl comes, and he pulls out his and Carl's guns, gives Carl his gun, and takes his magnum out and ties the belt around his waist, puts his magnum in his holster. I'm like, there you go, that's Rick Grimes again. And I think the significance of him burning up the stable, he's kind of done with that now. Rick is now, he realizes he's got to go back to his old self, where he's got to get out there, he's got to kill these walkers, he's got to figure out what's going on with the swine flu, and he really has to defend this prison and save the people inside of this prison before things just get a whole lot worse. Because things are starting to get a whole lot worse with this swine flu problem and with this build-up of these walkers on the prison walls and against the prison gates, the fences. And I like what they had Rick do in that one scene. And you could tell Rick Grimes is back, baby, and he's not exactly happy because the security that he thought he had with the prison is now pretty much over. I mean, the prison is slowly but surely starting to no longer be that safe haven that he had in mind back in season 3, episode 1. He thought, this is going to be a perfect place. And he was right for a while. There were several moments in Season 3 and in the gap between Season 3 and 4 where he's like, this is the perfect safe haven. And they actually did make it into a safe haven for 6 to 7 months. But now you got these two new big threats happening. And then you could tell that things are not going well. And Rick has got to step back up again. I don't think the Rick-tatorship is going to begin again. I still think it's a democracy going on here, but if the situation calls for it, Rick just may begin the dictatorship once again, and he's going to do anything to defend the prison, and he realizes he's got to give up that farming lifestyle, and he's got to get back out there. He's got to use his weapon more, and he has got to defend this prison and make it safe once again. And I like what they did with that. So that's basically the end of that scene with Rick and Carl. And finally, in one of the last scenes in the episode, and again, I love the way they're ending these episodes. I love the way they ended tonight's episode with Tyrese, the scene with Tyrese. Tyrese has a bunch of flowers. He goes into this one cell block to go visit Karen, obviously to give her some flowers because she's not feeling that well. And she's missing. He sees a trail of blood on the floor. He goes outside. He sees 2 burnt bodies outside. He makes this weird face. He's completely shocked. And you realize one of the bodies is the body of Karen, and the other one is that other guy who was sick and was with Karen. I don't know who that is, actually. They talked about it on Talking Dead. They said it was just some random Woodbury guy. So, yeah. So Karen is dead. Now, she was a very minor character, so I really don't... it didn't really faze me or hit me that hard. I mean, we literally just saw them in a relationship with episode 1, and that's it. Like, I never really, not cared, but I was never, I never fully cared about Karen. That's what I'm going to basically say. So, having her die really didn't faze me. If one of the more major characters died, that honestly would have gotten to me a lot more. But anyway, regardless of that, Karen is dead, and someone obviously set them on fire, burnt their bodies, and I'm pretty sure it was someone from the inside. I highly doubt if the governor could be able to do that. How could he be able to pull that off if he's not on the inside? I'm pretty sure it's a guy working on the inside job. Who knows? Maybe this Bob Stuckey guy is working with the governor, or maybe he was with the governor and then Daryl found him on his own, brought him back to the prison, and this is all just a big plan for revenge for the governor. I don't know, but someone burnt those bodies. I'm not sure who. There are a lot of theories floating around there, but yeah, guys, that's it. That's how the episode ended. So, guys, yeah, I really like this episode, Infected. I think this was better than the season 4 premiere. I'm gonna go 9 out of 10 for this episode. I almost went 9.5 out of 10, but the only thing that bothered me with this episode was the editing during the prison, the cell block D attack scene. I felt it was a little choppy and it went way too quickly. I feel there were way too many cuts in that scene. I really didn't get to enjoy that scene as much as I had hoped I would enjoy it, but it was still pretty cool. I was still pretty into it. But other than that, this episode was very well directed. It was really intense. It's obviously the most intense episode of season 4 so far. It really reminded me of the classic Walking Dead. I mean, some really serious shit is about to start happening, and I'm really impressed with what they're doing with the show. The introduction of the 2 new threats. I love what they did with Rick's character tonight. I love where they're going with his character and with Carol. I love all of that. The writing is starting to get really good, and I love how they're ending these episodes. They're not really ending these episodes on a cliffhanger. They're ending these episodes in a way where we'll be satisfied enough to wait a whole nother week to figure out what's going to happen. Because, they're not ending these episodes like they ended some of the episodes in the final season of Breaking Bad. I mean, that was just crazy how they ended some of those episodes with a cliffhanger. But The Walking Dead, they're not exactly doing that. They're ending these episodes where you can, you're pleased with how they end it, and you could wait a whole nother week. But with Breaking Bad, I couldn't wait a whole nother week. I was just on edge the whole week until waiting for the new episode. But anyway, guys, I was really impressed with tonight's episode. A lot of new things. I love the 2 new threats. They were finally introduced in this episode. I love the name of the title of this episode. It really is fitting, obviously, because these characters are one by one. They're infected. Some of them are infected with this swine flu bug that's going around, and they got to stop this from spreading. I think next week's episode is going to be even more intense because I know Tyrese, Bob Stuckey, Daryl, Michonne go on this separate mission, and I think that's going to be pretty badass. I'm looking forward to it, guys. The Walking Dead is really starting to kick off for me, season 4. I was really into this episode. I loved it. 9 out of 10 for me. And that's basically all I have to say, guys. What did you guys think of my review? And what did you guys think of the episode? Let me know down below, guys. I'm curious to know what you guys thought of it. Thank you guys, as always, so much for watching. And that's it, guys. Bye.